Welcome to In Pursuit with Pastor Bill.
Hey, I'm just a simple guy in pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, wild game, fish that swim under the ice, tender smoked meat, tasty grilled meat, and Denise.
In this hour, we are going to be talking about all of that and a whole lot more. Bill has been with Maranatha since 2005 and the campus pastor at Maranatha Chisago Lakes campus since 2011. Come along and join In Pursuit.
Well, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
To all of you that are out there listening, good afternoon to you as well. Today, our team, I am here. My name is Bill.
I'm here. My name is Denise.
And we have someone on the other side of the glass over there. James is out there. So it's good to have you here, James. Shane is home not feeling great, and Alice is busy back at the office, working. So, yeah, so here we are, another episode of In Pursuit, noon to 1 every Thursday afternoon. So it's great to be here. As always, I want to invite you to shoot us a text if you are listening live right now. You can send one to my phone, to Denise's phone, to James' phone. If you happen to listen at a later date in its podcast form, and you can find this on all the different podcast platforms, I want to invite you to just send one of us an email letting us know that you are tuning in. You can also send an email to wajc@yourliferadio.com. That is the radio station email address. So anything you hear on the radio station or on podcast, you can always send an email to that address as well. Yeah. Yep, there it is.
Cool.
There you are. Yeah. It's good to have you here, James.
Yeah.
Are you having fun over there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Flying solo.
Yes, yeah, I am.
Yeah, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that is a good thing, yeah. Well, we're going to get rolling here. I got some different thoughts and some things I want to let you all know about. So again, if you would send us a text, we'd love to engage with you all during the show live. So we did on Tuesday. We were off, I think it was Tuesday, and we smoked a lot of stuff on Tuesday.
It was experiment day.
Yeah. We experimented with smoking things.
Mixing things with the smoking.
Oh, I saw you guys. So one of you posted it on Instagram.
I did.
I think it was you. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. And yeah, so those of you listening, if you go to my Instagram page, I believe it's just Pastor Bill. I think that's how you find it. I don't know. James can maybe help me with that.
Oh, yeah, Pastor Bill MN, I think.
Okay, so if you look for that, you'll see a picture of our smoking experiment. So I want to tell you all what we did so that if you are a smoker, you can maybe try some of this stuff as well. So here's what we did. We tried smoking eggs. I saw a video of this and I thought, man, just a great thing to try. And so while we were smoking a couple other things that I'll get into, we tried 2 different kinds of smoking eggs. So the first thing we did was we just took raw eggs, like from our chickens.
Yeah,
just
fresh from the butt.
Yeah. So we smoked chicken butt. But what we did was we just put them in the shell right on the smoker. We smoked those at about 180 degrees for 2 hours, and then we took them off, and you peel them, and it's a hard-boiled egg.
Yeah, it didn't have a lot of smoke flavor.
But I would agree with you. Yeah. It wasn't impressed. I mean, I wasn't very...
I mean, if we ate the shells, it probably was smoky.
Right, yeah. Which is one of the reviews I saw about it was that the shell kind of obviously protects the smoke from getting to the actual egg.
Yeah. So it does boil them for you. I mean, it cooks them for you, not boil them. But it didn't really change the flavor of the egg.
I was expecting something more, I guess. But, we had the smoker running anyway, so we just threw some eggs in and did it.
Right.
So we did it that way.
Because it was experiment day.
It was fun. Mm-hmm. So then the other thing we did is you hard-boiled some eggs. I
did.
We peeled them.
Yep.
And then we put those eggs out of the shell on the smoker. And so those were on the smoker the smoker was at 180, and we had those on there for about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Then we pulled those off, There was a little smoky taste to them.
I thought there was quite a bit of smoky taste.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did. Maybe your senses were a little desensitized because you were standing in front of the smoker.
It could have been, yeah.
But yeah, those had a stronger smoky flavor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would say, like, if you're just looking for smoking the egg and getting that flavor, the way to do it would be hard boil some eggs and then put them on for
Peel them, put them on.
peel them and then put them on. Yeah. But it was fun to try.
Yeah.
So the other thing we did, again, just because we had the smoker going, we knew we were going to have it going for all day. We had like some essentially stew meat chunks. You know,
Yeah.
if you
a little bit smaller, but yeah.
and then we put those in a cast iron fry pan. Mm-hmm. And do you remember what you put with them?
I know I did olive oil and garlic powder, soy sauce, and salt. I did salt, yeah.
Okay. Because that had great flavor.
Really good flavor.
Yeah.
With the smoke, with all of those other flavors that were in there. Really
Yeah.
good flavor.
And we just put the whole cast iron pan right in.
Yeah.
We didn't cover it. We just kind of stirred it a couple times, I think, over the course of that. And I think I didn't pay close enough attention, but I think that was in the smoker for a few hours.
Yeah. Yeah, because we left and came back and it was
Yeah.
still in there.
Yeah. But it turned out, I mean, like I would do that again. I
Yeah.
think that was very tasty. It had good flavor.
Yeah. Very tasty.
And the main thing that we were trying to do is the venison shoulder. So I think I've talked about this before. When we butcher deer, we leave the meat on the shoulder blade and the shoulder blade in it, and then we just freeze it like that. So we took that shoulder blade, one of those shoulder blades, and we put it in the smoker. Mm-hmm. We put mustard on it as a binder, and then you put a salt and pepper garlic on it for
Yeah.
a seasoning.
Yeah.
And then we put that in. So we had that in the smoker. I started off at 180 degrees for like 4 or 5 hours, something like that. And then I bumped it up to 225 to finish it, and it was probably a few hours. While it was on the smoker, I didn't wrap it or do anything like that.
Yeah.
We did let it get up to 200 degrees, and then we pulled it off. I wrapped it. I let it sit for a little while, and that was like, it had okay flavor, but it was pretty dried out.
Yeah. It was like a nice jerky.
It was kind of
Yeah.
jerky. Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
Jerky-ish. Jerky-esque.
Yes.
I don't
Yeah.
want to say ish when we're talking about that food because it tasted good.
Yeah, it did have good
It
flavor.
did. It just was like it was too thin of a piece of meat or
Right.
something.
Yeah. So I would be kind of curious. I don't know that we need to do that again with a shoulder.
Because
But
they're so good in the oven.
They're so good the way you
so
make them in the
good
oven.
In the
yeah.
oven. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was fun to do. I mean, it was very fun to experiment with it. You know, I think that's just a neat thing to do.
Yeah.
But like that in there, it was nothing like the brisket or a pork shoulder. You know,
Yeah.
a bigger, because you have such a different size piece of meat.
Yeah.
You know, maybe if you had something like an elk shoulder, you know, a much bigger piece of meat,
Yeah.
that maybe, you know, would cook a little differently, because I was hoping it would just kind of shred.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was fun to try though.
It was-
I mean,
it was good to try.
I had a great time. I mean, it
I
was,
think it tasted good. It just
It
was
had
a
good
little,
flavor.
yeah, just got jerky-esque
yeah,
on there because it got dried out.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun. All of our chickens, we have the smalls, the mediums, and the larges. They're all doing good, growing, and
Yeah.
Nice.
yeah,
They're fun.
yeah, that's
Cute.
pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get into it, you guys,
Okay.
and I'm looking for conversation today.
Awesome.
Yeah.
They both looked at me.
Hey, Megan Erke is listening again. Mom and Dad are listening, and Alice and Cindy are listening.
Nice.
Chris Edwards is listening.
Oh, we're interstate again.
Interstate.
We're national.
She brings us
Whoa.
We're a national
across
show.
the country. Thanks, Chris, for
She's
listening.
in Wisconsin, but still, it's still a national
It's
show.
crossing
now.
state lines.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
all that matters.
You're keeping us legit, Chris.
That's right. That's right. Keep it up. So last week, our title was "In Pursuit of a Good Harvest," and what I want to do just for a few minutes is I kind of want to talk a little bit about that topic, and then I plan to switch topics. I don't know if it'll be the second segment or prior to that, but so the reason that came back into my head, this "In Pursuit of a Good Harvest," is because part of the day on Tuesday we spent outside in the garden.
Yes.
Or not in the garden, but preparing the garden.
Right.
And so I spread out.
In pursuit of a good harvest
We're
this
in
year.
pursuit of a good harvest. And here's what's funny is while I was out there, I was thinking about the conversation we were having last Thursday.
Yeah.
Because I tilled it. So I mixed in some of the compost we had out there, and we had like some ashes out there and coffee grounds, just different things that we had spread out.
Trying to change the soil.
Yep. Yeah, because we know we have to bring nutrients to our soil.
Yeah.
And so I tilled it up, and while I was out tilling, that's what I started thinking about, was how we as people are, and the soil that the seeds that are being sown, what it is they're landing on, and not just the condition that it starts off in, but like as we continue on and we have a desire to grow and we have a desire for that good harvest, like doing the work we need to do. And that's what I was thinking about when I was out there, is like I was doing the work that we need to do in order to set ourselves up for a good harvest. And one of the thoughts I had was, we're not going to see the fruit of it right away.
Yeah.
So you're doing this work. I'm doing the work last Tuesday, a couple days ago, but we're not going to see the fruit of it for months. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes that's the way it is in life as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That you do the work today. You're intentional. You're focused. You're taking the time today, but you're not going to always see the fruit of it immediately.
Right. Which can be hard.
Very hard
because
to do.
putting the work in is hard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're just kind of laying the groundwork. You're putting your foundation in place and getting things ready for the seeds that are going to be sown.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I was out there and I was tilling, and it was fun to do and be thinking of all this stuff. And then later in the day, because like you had mentioned last week, we have little rabbits around.
Yes.
And so we built this 6-foot fence around the garden to protect it from the deer, which hopefully it continues to do.
Hopefully. Yeah.
But initially we didn't, like I just put the fence at ground level. And so then that's where you had your rabbit issues last year.
Twice.
Yeah. But those were a big twice.
Those were 2 times. Defeated me.
So then what I did last year is on 2 sides of the garden, and I don't know why I only did 2 sides last year.
You think you got tired?
Yeah.
I didn't come out and help you, and I didn't help you this with the last 2 sides, but
So I put
feel
2 sides down
responsible.
last year. And what I did was I buried chicken wire or hardware cloth. I don't remember which I did, but I buried it down like 10 inches deep in an attempt to keep those rabbits from being able to
those little darlings
dig
from
underneath it.
getting
Yeah.
under the fence.
Right, the little darlings.
Little darlings.
So I dug a trench around the whole thing. And again, I was thinking of our conversation from last Thursday. Because what I was doing was I was doing the work to protect the seeds that we're going to sow. Mm. And I don't know why, but for me, so much, that's such an important point of this whole conversation, is protecting the seeds that are being sown in us, especially, I think, from a spiritual sense. Mm-hmm. Because people, they'll start reading their Bibles, they'll start going to church, building this relationship with the Lord. And all along, I see like these are seeds, different seeds that are being sown. And it's so important that we protect those seeds. Mm-hmm. Like who or what are we allowing in that are plucking these seeds out? You know what I'm saying? And so as I was burying that fence and putting it in place and getting frustrated with different things and just all the work, I mean, it was like, okay, this takes work.
Yeah.
And as I was thinking about it, it got me kind of excited about what I was doing, because I was doing what we talked about. Mm. I was doing the work. I was focused on the project. Like I was determined to finish that on Tuesday. I was being intentional. I was digging it down what I thought to be deep enough, 8, 10, 12 inches. Yeah. Digging the fence down to keep the stinking rabbits,
the little darlings,
out of the garden. And again, there was intentionality, because when we sow the seeds, when we plant those seeds, I want to protect it.
Yeah.
And I was just having the exact same thought with like even examining my life. Am I protecting the seeds that God is sowing in me? Am I putting things in place? Am I being careful? Am I like, because you got to be careful. You got to be intentional about it.
Yeah, I remember when we got married, that was something you said often when we would talk, is we've got to protect this, what we have. We have to protect what we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just being intentional, being aware, and even just verbalizing it, just saying it out loud to yourself, oh, this is something I need to protect. I think that's good.
Yeah.
Makes you aware.
Yeah, absolutely it is, yeah. Well, and so if you look at us, we're in our 50s. James is 21, getting married. Like so much to young people, this is a message I want to have. It's like you have to protect where you're at, because the decisions you make now are going to affect you when you're 50.
Yeah.
And along the whole journey.
Yeah, it made me think about, I was at a conference and somebody asked the speaker, like, what are 3 things you absolutely do not compromise? And that was a question that like got me thinking, because I try to like, usually my time reading the Bible every day is like right before I go to bed. And lately it's been more than that, just because I'm trying to build on it. But like before I go to bed, I try to read, and I was just thinking about like how I really shouldn't compromise that, like, period.
Yeah.
And, so like, whether that means, playing video games a little less before I go to bed, or like I played video games too long, now I'm going to stay up extra late because I'm not going to compromise my Bible time. That was something that really like got me thinking.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
And that's exactly it, because and that's what I think we end up missing, is these little things like the scrolling on our phone, the watching TV, playing video games. It can be anything really, that we allow it to come in, and now that takes importance over time with the Lord, praying, being in church, serving in church. We let all of these other things, not that those things are necessarily bad, but it can take away from what we're trying to grow.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of intentionality, it really is important. It's not something where it's like we go through life terrified or nervous or afraid or anything. It's more like, no, this is good. I want to protect from this. And the more protections we put in place, the more fruit we're going to see from it, and the less back and forth we do.
Yeah. And I went through like a really long phase of like trying to put time limits on all the apps on my phone so that I would like force myself to like, make
regulate
more time.
it. Yeah.
Regulate it. And that's just something that taught me to really keep my heart in check, because like I realized I was making all these adjustments, but I wasn't like ever thinking about why I was doing it. I was kind of just, I'm making all these adjustments because I know then I'll have more time.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't intentional with the time I had.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden I was back to scrolling. So it was like just trying to keep my heart in check. And now it's like, if I set these time limits, it's because I know that I'm going to use that time. It's just discipline, I guess. But
Well, and I think you touch on a good thing, like the motivation for what you're doing. It can be either a negative or a positive. You can be doing the same things, but if the motivation is more like rule following and legalistic, now it becomes this oppressive thing that when you screw up, it's just like there's shame and there's guilt and I'm a failure and all these things. When the motivation is, no, I want to do this because I want to achieve this, or because I want these seeds to grow, because I want to know God better. Now that's a different motivation. And so the ebbs and flows of life, when it's too busy and when it's hard, and now you kind of have room for the fluctuation without losing it altogether.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's like all Jesus talked about too, like the heart posture thing.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. It just comes back to the motivation, the heart, above all else, guard your heart, be protecting that stuff, these seeds that are sown. So I guess, I think that's a good conversation to have. And I think the thing that I would want to challenge us with or leave us with is just that examining, like, I don't know, maybe it's just silly, but when I was in the garden doing that stuff, I was spending a lot of time thinking about that conversation and my life, as a 50-some-year-old guy, just examining, like, okay, am I protecting what I need to be protecting and what God is wanting from me? And like, okay, I want to be aware of this stuff, you know? So if you're listening, it's a simple thought, but I think if you spend some time thinking about it and praying about it and asking the Lord, even asking those around you that know you, like, give it some thought and kind of examine, what am I letting in that's, you know, who are the rabbits or what are the rabbits in my life that are stealing the fruit that could be put forth? Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super fun.
Intentionality.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take our bottom of the hour break.
Oh, just a minute. We've got another Wisconsin listening in.
No.
Yeah, Mary. Mary's listening in.
Mary Roche.
And then Chris also told me next time she goes to Mexico, she's going to try and listen in.
Yes, we'll be international.
And make us international.
That'd be
This is
awesome.
the Chris who went fishing on opening fishing.
Yes, yeah.
And then sent me a picture of her and her girlfriend with a load of fish on the string.
A lot of fish, yeah.
And then she confesses to me that they got off the lake completely skunked, but she saw these guys with a stringer full of fish. So they borrowed the stringer and took a picture.
That's so funny.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that's awesome.
That made me laugh.
That's great.
So when she
Yeah.
goes to Mexico, she'll make us international.
Oh, that's
the little
great.
liar.
That's great. So that's Mary from Pretty Paws, right?
Pretty Paws. Yeah, Pretty Paws dog grooming.
Yep. That's
In Scotty.
another free spot.
Oh, there you go.
I'm
Free
planting a
advertising.
seed out there.
Yeah.
Planting a seed out there for when that happens. Hey, before we take our bottom of the hour break, I get excited about this because I have no idea what word is coming our way today.
Uh-oh.
So it is time for our word of the week.
Word of the week. This is the part of the show where Denise and Bill learn new words in pursuit of knowledge and understanding of the English language, and so they can sound smarter. So my word this week kind of goes with the introduction. The word is dodgy.
Dodgy?
Dodgy, isn't that a fun word? It's mostly like a British word. So we should say dodgy. Let's all speak with a British accent.
I expect Jamie to use that word today now.
Dodgy. So, dodgy means evasive and tricky, as in likely to be dishonest or illegal. The next definition is not sound good or reliable, as in the couple lost their life savings in some dodgy investments. And then the third one is requiring skill or care in handling or coping with. The car's got a dodgy engine. Yeah. Do you like that word?
I kind of do.
I like it just because of the way it sounds.
Yeah, dodgy.
Dodgy.
Yeah.
It's dodgy. Things are dodgy in here.
So you should read your sentence with your English accent.
I don't know. I'll give it a shot. So we know
Don't be
if we
dodgy.
don't be dodgy. We know if we don't use it, so we would lose it. So I want to use it in my own sentence. When I encounter a dodgy situation, I bring my thoughts to Bill. I should say Billy.
Well,
That's an English thing. You made me do it in an English accent. So when I encounter a dodgy situation, I bring my thoughts to Billy, and he helps me discern what to do because Billy is very wise. And that's our word of the week.
You're listening to In Pursuit with me, Pastor Bill, a production of WAJC, Your Life Radio on 88.1 and 91.7 FM. WAJC is owned and operated by Maranatha Assembly of God in Forest Lake, Minnesota. If you would like to visit Maranatha Chisago Lakes campus, we have 4 weekend services to choose from. Visit maranathachisago.org to learn more and to check out some past messages. Dodgy.
Dodgy.
I like it. I like it. I'm not a huge fan of the Billy part, but I like the dodgy.
It only
Oh my
got brought
gosh.
in because of the English accent.
I'm nervous now.
Hey, Billy.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
Oh my gosh, that reminds me. One time, I was texting my friend. He listens sometimes, and he's like a he does broadcasting for this college. And one time, I don't know if he was joking or not, but he said, P. Billy throwing it down today while you're preaching. And he told me that he put put our live stream on the Jumbotron in their stadium. And I don't know if it's true or not.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And I want him to send a picture next time he does it.
Yes.
But anyways.
Hey, Billy.
P. Billy throwing it down today.
That's awesome. I hope it doesn't catch on, though. I'll tell you that. Well, that's very, very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. That's a great word. Thanks for doing that. I love the way you do that. Real quick, Mark Games, those are 3 things I won't compromise on. Bacon, bacon, and bacon.
That's truth.
Yeah.
Truth right there.
I'll tell you a story real quick. Mark, this is just for you. So we had Mark and Sandy over. It might have been 2 couples, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have these guys over to the house for supper. And I had the Blackstone going. Well, prior to them coming over,
You got hungry.
I got hungry, so I threw a pound of bacon on it. And
Proceeded to eat it.
I ate it before they got there. And then, after they got there, I told them, I said, I would have had bacon for you guys, but I ate it all. And he hasn't let me forget that,
Nope.
which is very funny to me.
Very
Yeah.
funny.
Bacon, bacon, bacon. Yeah. Tell me where you get your Amish popcorn from, Mark. I want to know. So a couple of really quick update things from a church standpoint, some business things. Things that are happening here at the Forest Lake campus coming up on June 1st. It's the Blessing of the Bikes. You guys, if you've never been to this, it's mega cool. So come and check that out. And then also here at the Forest Lake campus, they have a missions garage sale coming up May 16th and 17th, and they are taking donations for stuff right now. So you can call the office and they'll give you all those details. And then don't forget, check out their website, realchurch.org, for all their fun stuff happening. And at the Chisago campus, we have a little mini marriage conference coming up. A couple from churches doing it. That is on Saturday morning. I believe that's May 17th as well. But if that's something that you could use, you can check out our website, maranathashisago.church or .org or .com. All of them will get you there. So that's just one of the many things coming up that's exciting. And then we still have all four of our weekend services going on. Wednesday night stuff is going to continue throughout the summer. So just some fun stuff happening at both churches. Please check that stuff out if you are interested in that. And then what I want to get into now is kind of a new topic. We have a few minutes left here. And this whole thought comes from our weekend services at church. So this isn't a specific 3-point, 4-point. This is just going to be a little bit of conversation.
Sure.
And it all comes from what I saw at church. Now, here's what I mean by that. We were just last weekend's message. We were talking about Philippians chapter 3, just the first 10 or 15 verses of that. And in it, Paul is making this statement about just I want to know Christ, the power of His resurrection. And when I think of knowing Jesus, obviously I think immediately of salvation. I think of I have eternal life through my faith in Jesus and His grace and His power and what He's done, His love. And so that's the first thing I think of. But then I start thinking about life and how hard life can be sometimes.
Yes.
And I know it's not all the time, but we go through very hard times. It doesn't matter how rich or poor you are, where you live, the color of your skin, the language you speak. Life can be hard. And I really think that as a believer in Jesus, it makes those difficult situations easier.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It doesn't fix them all the time.
And it doesn't take them away.
And it doesn't take them away. But it gives us what we need to get through those, because we know we're not alone in them. We know His grace. We know His love. We know His mercy, His forgiveness. I mean, this is what Jesus brings to our situations. And so I was talking about some of this stuff last weekend during our services, and one of the songs that you had in worship was this song, Come Jesus Come.
Such a good song.
I love this song.
Yeah.
I just love this song. I almost brought my guitar. I need to find out if we can do this, because I almost brought my guitar to just sing this, have you sing this.
Yeah. That might be interesting.
Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah.
But the first verse, it says, sometimes I fall to my knees and pray, come Jesus, come, let today be today. But then there's this line, sometimes I feel like I'm going to break, but I'm holding on to a hope that won't fade.
Yeah.
Those two sentences are, to me, they're so powerful, you know.
They are.
And it's like we talk about our hope. Our hope is in Jesus. Our hope is not in anything of this world. All of this is going to go away. Jesus lasts forever.
Right.
That's the hope that won't fade. The hope in our eternal life. The hope in His love and His grace and His mercy and His presence, His forgiveness. I mean, it's Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
And I think this weekend, I should have asked you to do this, James, but you probably would have killed me. You just said, "No way, Billy."
P. Billy.
Yeah, that's a dodgy request. But I'm thinking back to this, the 4 services last weekend. The number of times I said the name Jesus it was so many times.
I totally could do that.
Because it was like at one point I realized it. Like I love saying the name Jesus. I love it, you know, and there's power in it. And it's like, gosh, I've said it so many times. Like, you need to know Jesus.
Yeah.
Because that's a hope that doesn't fade.
Right.
People are going to disappoint you. The stock market is going to disappoint you. Politicians are going to disappoint you. There's just everything. But Jesus is a hope that doesn't fade.
Yeah.
And there was one point in the service, and this is where I'm having a hard time sitting in my chair right now. But this is where I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do it.
He's now standing. He's moved the mic up to
I need a wireless microphone. But here's why. This is the thing that got me, and it hit me hard at the 8 o'clock service.
Yeah.
Because I got to that point towards the end of the service, the message, and I asked the people. I said, "Do you ever feel like you're going to break?" And I said, "Okay, I want you to do something for me. If you're at that point, or you've ever been to the point where it's like, I just feel like I'm going to break," I said, "I want you to raise your hand for me." And he's getting me right now, and I can't even tell you the number of hands that went up, and not just hands that went up, but when these hands went up, and this was men and women alike.
Yeah.
When these hands went up, you guys were, standing in the front looking out at the congregation. The hands that went up and the tears that just started to fall. Like the number of people. I'm not just talking about 1 or 2 people.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, and especially that 8 o'clock service. Yeah. But it was all 3 services on Sunday. The number of people that when they raised their hands in church, when I just say, "You ever feel like you're going to break, or do you feel like it right now?" Hands went up, and this was men and women alike.
Yeah.
And this wasn't just like a couple of tears falling.
Yeah.
This was like it hit these people so stinking hard.
Yeah.
And it was like, and at that 8 o'clock service, I just had to turn around.
Yeah.
Because I needed to keep a little composure, and looking at the number of faces that it's like the pain.
Yeah.
The pain that was represented in that room was, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you.
Yeah, I was sitting in the back, and all the hands going up, it was just crazy. And that was like our highest attended service too.
Yeah.
So it was just it was like, I don't think there was a hand that didn't have a Kleenex in it, at least,
Yeah, exactly. And that just does something to me because it's like, these are the people that are sitting in our churches, and they're hurting and they're broken. And I just start to think about, okay, people need to know what Jesus does for us in those hard situations. Because you think of Peter, and you think of Paul, and you think of Stephen, and you think of what their life was like, and the persecution, the torture, the imprisonment. You think of, and from Jesus, the last 2,000 years, it's been unbelievable persecution that people have gone through, and difficult times, and he's there, you know. And I think it's like that was the part in these services. It was like, you got to know he's there, because he is the hope that doesn't fade. And we so quickly in this country, I think we put so much attention, we put so much focus and so much faith and so much hope in the things that they're going to come and go. As a matter of fact, some of those things we put our hope in are the things that cause us this strain and this stress and this anxiety.
Can be. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And when you just, it's like to look to Jesus today and be reminded, you know what? Whatever happens today, Jesus will not change.
Right.
That's where that Hebrews 13:8, that was during COVID, that I had reread that, and it's stuck with me since COVID.
Yeah.
But that Hebrews 13:8, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. That is unbelievable scripture.
Yeah.
To keep coming back to, in a world that's ever changing, in a world that is like, there's always an upgrade, right? iPhone 27C or whatever it is now, you know, there always used to be like DOS 2.0 and the Apple II computer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always an upgrade. When it comes to our God, there is no upgrade. He is it. He's unchangeable. He's unshakable. He's unstoppable. That's our God. That's the hope that doesn't fade.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And I love in the song where it says that sometimes I feel like I'm going to break, and then the very next line is, but I'm holding on to a hope that won't fade. That those two lines are so close together because I think you said this, maybe I'm wrecking this, but you said it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And you can not be okay and still love Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a hope there.
Yeah.
I think that's just such a good truth to put out there.
Yeah.
Because people who love Jesus can still have trouble and feel like they're going to break, but you still love Jesus just because you
Right.
have trouble or questions or doubts or struggles doesn't mean you don't love Jesus.
Yeah. And it doesn't mean he's not there. Doesn't mean he's not walking through it with you.
Right.
Because again, if you look back at the Bible, Jesus was with Paul and he was in prison and he was persecuted and he was sick and Timothy was sick. And I mean, there's all these different situations where it's like their life was hard,
Yeah.
but they had Jesus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's a great point because you can. It's like difficulty does not mean he's not with you. Difficulty does not mean you don't believe. Difficulty is life. The really the important thing is like, but I'm going to put my trust and my hope in the one that does not fade away.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And when we think of this come Jesus come, it's like the importance of inviting Jesus into those situations. Don't think he doesn't want anything to do with your tough time. Invite him into it. And that's what again, like these people just weeping in church, just a hand up in the air, asking Jesus to come into that situation. Jesus, make yourself known in this situation. Come into this, you know, and to invite him to come. It's a beautiful, beautiful message, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just so powerful. The number of people that struggle with their past, you know, struggling with what they've done, and then kind of even allowing that to dictate whether or not they think Jesus is with them.
Sad.
It's very sad. Yeah, and it's a message I think that within the church we've propagated. We've continued that message, you know. Somehow the idea of you know, I made too many mistakes, he doesn't want anything to do with me type of thing, you know?
Right. Or you can't be used of God because of
Right.
your past.
Right.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
It is, yeah.
Our God can overcome anything.
Anything, yeah.
Yep.
Do you know why? Because our God does not live in temples built by human hands. I'm going to say it.
Okay.
There's a spire that we drive by. I think it's a Buddhist temple.
Yes.
And we drive by it every day on our way to work, and more and more. Even today, we were driving into the office, and we drove by, and it's this, like...
Beautiful.
It's beautiful, like this gold roofed building. And we drive by, and it's like, boy, the sun's hitting it, and it is beautiful. But we drove by it and just said, you know what? My God does not live in temples built by human hands.
That's right.
That's who he is, you know? the one true living God, and that's who he makes us new, and he's the one who sows the seeds and nurtures the seeds and waters the seeds, and it's like what we can become when we just turn to him is unbelievable.
Right.
You know, it's so powerful. Just walking in here today, we saw Bee, and she leads a ministry here at the Forest Lake campus, and I remember 15, 20 years ago who she was then to now she's leading a ministry in the church, and this transformation, it's like that's what God can do, you know.
He is faithful.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't anything worldly that did it. This is what God does, and a faith, and the sowing of seeds, and the protecting of seeds. You know,
and the intentionality on her part. Yeah.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where you get to see that growth, and now she's being used to change people's lives.
So cool.
Yeah, having gone through very, very difficult times, turning to a hope that doesn't fade, and now continuing to grow in that hope.
Yeah.
Now she gets to share that hope with people.
So cool.
It is cool.
Oh, yeah.
I love that stuff, man. But this second, I don't know what we're going to call this whole radio show, because the second segment is called In Pursuit of Pain. And here's what I mean by that. It's okay to acknowledge the pain, to get over the stigma or the stereotype that you walk through the doors of the church and everything's got to be okay.
Yeah.
You walk through the doors of the church and the marriage has to be perfect, and the kids got to be perfect, and you know the addiction doesn't exist now because I'm in church.
Yeah.
Instead of this being a place where this is the place to bring the brokenness to him,
Yeah.
and invite him into that situation. Are you guys tracking me at all? I'm looking at both of you, and you're both
I am.
just kind of looking at me.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's deep stuff. It's important. It's important. It's a truth that needs to just be in us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more we share, like I was talking to a guy the other day who just has gone through and is going through difficult times. Well, he's a part of a couple different groups, and because of what he's doing, and because he's talking as he grows and heals, he's sharing some of his struggles with other people. Now he has an opportunity for where other people are being honest with him about their struggles. And now that to me is the reality of how this works, you know? Like it really is hard to do.
Yeah.
You brought up, Denise, this statement, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
So there's a Jelly Roll song
Yeah.
that I only heard it the one time, but it starts off where I'm not okay. That's what he's saying. And throughout the course of the song, it ends up sending a message that says, I'm not okay, but it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
And within the song, he says, I don't think I'm the only one that's not okay, or something along those lines. And it kind of surprises me, but I think it's very real that people still need to know you're not the only one that's not okay.
Right.
You know? And I told the church this on Sunday when I brought up that song. When I was listening to it Saturday morning, I told Denise, you got to come listen to this song. And so we listened to this song, this Jelly Roll song.
It's a good song.
And it's all, you know, I'm not okay, but everything's going to be all right, and it's okay to not be okay. That's kind of the message, right? It's okay that I'm in pain. It's okay that I'm going through a hard time. I still love Jesus, and it's okay. After we listened to this song, Denise is like, honey, are you okay? or something like that.
Are you not okay?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. And so here's what I said, and this is, I think, the honest answer. Today, I'm okay. Because all the different things that come at us, like it's okay to not be okay sometimes.
Yep.
You don't want to live in that space. You find the healing, you talk through it, you look to God, invite Jesus in, and you want to bring healing. But life is filled with days where it's just not okay. I'm not okay.
Yeah.
And there's some settings where the world doesn't need to know that I'm hurting. But there's other settings where these are the people that ought to know, I'm not okay today.
Yeah.
And to be able to say, honey, I'm not okay today. You know, some things have happened over the last 6 months or a year personal things that have just come in where it's like, I've just wept. I just wept at home. And that's okay to not be okay. A couple of friends that I trust, I'm going through it right now. Like, I'm not okay. And it just opens up the door of communication to say, there's always times where we're not okay.
Yeah.
Let's stop pretending like we're always perfect.
Yeah.
Like we always got it together.
Yeah. That's like the hardest thing for me right now, at least lately, is like, I just cannot bring myself to talk about it. And it's not because it's like, I don't want people to know like I'm having a hard time.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind people knowing I'm having a hard time. It's just like, I just cannot, for whatever reason, bring myself to like come to someone and talk about it. It's like really hard. So, and sometimes it's like, I don't know if I'm reacting the right way, you know, and part of that's just, I think I'm just young and unsure of myself still. So it's like, part of it's just like, you know, is this something I need to talk to someone about? And it's like, I don't know if that's just me or if that's like other people, but it's just, it's hard to like know when I should talk to someone. So,
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great question. And I think for me, it's error on the side of talking to somebody you trust.
I think that's like the most important thing is to know who you can talk to about it.
Yeah.
Like if you're wondering if you should talk about something, you should probably talk about it, but
sure,
make sure you have the right person that you're talking to, you know, someone who isn't going to share it with somebody else or judge you.
Yeah. Well, and this could be a whole nother conversation of the proper way. And I personally, and this is just my opinion, I'm not a counselor or therapist or anything, but I just don't think airing dirty laundry on social media is.
Oh yeah.
But there are a lot of people that do it, you know, and I just don't think that's the healthy way to do it. I think, talking to somebody, you know, and bringing it to that trusted person and let them speak some truth into you, because like for me, I can get so wrapped into my head that it's a disaster, you know, and so when you just even sometimes saying the words out loud, talking about it, that in and of itself can help clear up your thought process when you hear those words out loud.
Yeah, because you're hearing your words. Yeah, it's a different way to process it.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing, but I think the main thing I took away from this last weekend was, you know, I wanted to show people, did you see the number of hands that went up? Like, you're not alone.
Not okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not alone in your struggle. Because that isolated feel that's a heavy feeling. Like, why has everybody else got their life together and I'm a disaster, you know? And that's really a feeling we can get. And so just to be aware, like, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that has bad days. I'm not the only one that gets down. I'm not the only one that struggles. And the more we understand that, the more we're going to be able to talk about it. And I think the less bad days we have, because we realize, hey, this is going to come and it's going to go. And it helps put things in perspective. This doesn't have to bring me down into a deep ditch. But if I keep it in my head, sometimes it does.
Right.
And I think within Christianity and the church, sometimes we create environments where I'm not supposed to have problems because I believe in Jesus. Well, nope. You're still going to have problems. Life is still going to be hard. The key is turning to him and inviting him in.
Yeah, you're not doing it alone.
Yeah, that's a very important part of it. So today's show was a part 2 of In Pursuit of a Good Harvest, and maybe a part 1 of In Pursuit of Pain and understanding it's part of life and it's okay to not be okay. It's just the way it goes.
It's a good conversation.
Yeah. I want to pray. Father, right now, thank you so much for this time and for who you are. And for anyone listening that just needs somebody to talk to, would you lead them to that person in Jesus' name? Amen. Thank you all for listening. Have a great day. Hope we see you next week.
Bye now.
See ya.
Thanks for joining In Pursuit with Pastor Bill and me, Denise. We hope you will tune in next Thursday at noon as the pursuit continues. In Pursuit is a production of WAJC, Your Life Radio, on 88.1 and 91.7 FM. WAJC is owned and operated by Maranatha Assembly of God in Forest Lake, Minnesota. The opinions expressed here are not necessarily those of the owner.